Welcome to Unsung, where we shine a light on the extraordinary lives that often go unnoticed in the tapestry of our nation. Our guest today is a highly accomplished police officer, a lawyer, a matriarch, and a trailblazer in every sense of the word. Her name is synonymous with the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria, and she's the first and only female to spearhead the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Our guest is none other than the incomparable Mrs. Farida Mzambi Waziri. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So since retirement from the public space, a lot of us have not seen you in the public. So we're truly honored that you take time to speak with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Teve. Teve Malu is like a son. I don't give interviews. It's like a son to me. He's a good man. The father was patriotic, late Malu, when he so rest in peace. That's why I'm granted this interview, because ordinarily, you don't want to be misquoted, underquoted, overquoted, and then you put yourself in bad light among your enemies and other people who want to find faults with you. So thank you so much for coming for this interview.
For your time, man.
Yeah.
So in 2019, you released your book, One Step Ahead, which is an extraordinary book. In fact, since I picked up the book, I wasn't able to drop it from the first page down to the very last page. It's full of information. It's full of so many things for anybody who's interested in the story of Nigeria. I think you play a very critical part of Nigeria that hasn't been told well enough. So today we'll be jumping right into the book. We'll do a bit of a book review and just have a conversation with you about some of the things you mentioned in the book. So jumping right straight into it, from your accounts, you grew up in Boko. You spent your formative years as a young girl in Boko in Benue State. Can you share with us some of your memorable moments as a young girl growing up, and how your environment affected you and has contributed to the person you become today?
Thank you so much. Yes, I was born in Boko, grew up at the John Holt, that area where they were doing John Holt Company. My father was a foreman. I think they were doing lots of sales of soya beans then and Benue, and the Boko was bubbling, and that was when I came up, and it was so good. I mean, each time I think of with nostalgia the way I grew up, things were so good. A child, everybody look at you as their own. If you misbehave, somebody will chastise you, will correct you, and even beat you and take you to your parents that this girl did this, and the parents will even be very appreciative that yes. So there was a school, in my book I mentioned my great uncle, Brother Valentine. He was a great man, no nonsense. They nicknamed him Onion Alabisa because he was tough. Even my father was scared of him. So he was first of all in Holy Ghost College, Trinity College in Umuahia, and then later he moved to Lafayette, St. Augustine's. That's where, from the convent, actually there was a school called Down School by the missionaries. In those days, the missionaries, mostly Irish priests and sisters, they were so good and committed. And they had the Down School, and from there to St. John's. Then they opened the convent, and we were the first to start in that convent school, and were taught so many things. That was, we were taught so many things: music, book reading, all those Pinocchio, all those other things, flower arrangement. And I was one of the favorites, so even during holidays I may stay in the convent to help them. And then from there I moved to St. Augustine, where Reverend was there. If you remember Father Mori, he became the Archbishop, the Bishop of Makodi. He was the principal of that school, and we did a lot of, sold their buttons of their castle, arranged flowers in the church. I did so many things. So that was my upbringing from that area of the priesthood with that my uncle and the others, and it was very, very good. And we can't sleep without even prayers. We take, then there was tilly lamp to mother villages, and then you just can't wear anything. You have to wear something high neck, halter neck. You have to tie your head, and then you have to put your hand like, a cross like this, and you're going to mother villages. We did that. So that was what shaped my life, that upbringing. And Boko was thriving, and a friendly city. And, I never forgot, even when I left Boko, I always go back there. Then my parents were there, and I always find time to go there. Even today, it's not the same anymore. I've lost both my parents, but there's no place like home. I still go back there now and again. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of a young girl were you? Were you rebellious? Were you scholarly? Were you bookworm? What did the environment make of you?
Well, I was just a good girl. But a little bit troublesome. I used to look for small trouble. And, for instance, in the convent, lights out. And then when the lights are out, or what they call siesta, in the afternoon, you have to sleep. And when I go home, my parents will say, "These reverend sisters, what do they mean? It's not yet night, and then they want you to just close your eyes and sleep." But we got used to siesta. It was very, very refreshing. And so I was quiet and reserved, but I also like to look for a little trouble here and there. For instance, we had outings on weekends, and somebody said, and then you go to Holy Communion, and then you go to confessions, and then the girls that come in late, they will say, okay, if you take a candle and light it near them, they will confess where they actually want to. And I was the ringleader of that. And then one day, we took the candle, I took it to that particular girl. She brought lots of stuff in the convent, and then she didn't say anything. So I took it closer, and the water fell on, and she screamed, and everybody screamed, and the sisters came in and said, who? They said, that was the one. I was suspended just for 2 days for doing that, and I went home, and my parents were happy. They said, what did you do? I said, this. So they just said, so when I came back, the sisters, they said, did your father beat you? I said, yes. Then they said, oh no, how many lashes? Then I said, all over the body. And he said, oh no, so they just beat you like a savage. I said, yes, So those are the things that, but it was togetherness, different girls, different, and then our mothers would smuggle food through the forest, was a forest, and then we would eat, and then, it was very good. I mean, and then the upbringing through the Catholic Church was very, 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 you just feel as if God is watching you, watching through your heart, what you're doing and all that, So it was a good thing that, and books, they gave us books. For instance, I started reading books on law like Permesin, the lawyer from California, and even it prompted me, made me think I wanted to be a lawyer because he never lost any case. And even when I left, I got a book, Learning the Law by Lord Denning, Master of the Rolls, and that started me. Before then, I was interested in medicine. Once I see the doctors with white starch uniforms, and the stethoscope, it was so impressive to me. And then one day, there was a clinic on the way in Boko there, and there was a riot, and they brought in dead bodies. And when I was coming back, there was one body that was big, swollen big like an elephant with green flies. So I stopped. I said, what is this? They say it's a body. I say, body? Then with my friends, say, why won't they bury? They said, no, the doctor has to do autopsy. I said, what do they mean by that? They said, they have to go and cut the body and see what. I said, so that's what doctors do? I said, me, I'm not going to be a doctor to cut bodies like that, So that's why my mind shifted from there into law, And, I didn't quite finish. I went to university, but I made up my mind because I was like kind of tricked to joining the police, but I don't have any regrets. If I'm to born again into this world, still want to be a policewoman. You know what? Because without being a police officer, you will never ever know human beings. That made me to see human beings. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. Even science cannot tell you what human beings are or what they can do at any particular time. So I still insisted, persevered, went back to law. I did my law in Lagos State and was called to the bar, and I did my master's at LASU also. And, so I felt quite satisfied that I didn't miss anything joining the police. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you didn't want to be, you were tricked into joining the police. You mentioned that in your book.
Yes.
By 1966, you had enrolled into the police academy.
Yes.
So can you walk us through the circumstances that led you, for somebody who wanted to be a reverend sister and a lawyer, how did you find your way into the police force?
When I was to further my education, I was sent by the sisters to go to Queen's Kakuri or Sacred Heart Kaduna. And I had an uncle. He was an instructor at Police College Kaduna. I stayed with him. And my husband also was a law instructor at the same. And I think it was a kind of conspiracy between the two of them, because my uncle now said, why can't you go? You're waiting to go to school. Why? And you're just sleeping at home. Why? They're recruiting the police. Why can't you go and write aptitude test? Maybe, Then I said, I don't want to join the police. He said, okay, but you can just try. I went, and then I passed. And then now he now said height. I went for the height. I was high. I was okay. And then he now said, you passed. They want you to go for interview. And I said, I told you I don't want to join the police. And my husband, who was their neighbor, was looking that he's found a wife or something, So they were working together. And before I knew it, I went, and that was what happened. Actually, before I knew it, I joined the police. First women in the north, I made efforts to leave many a times, but the man would take your leg and hit on the leg, on the ground, and say, look, government has bought this your leg, And my legs swollen and everything, but they come back, cajole me to stay. So, destiny, predestination, you can't change it. You can only delay. So as I was progressing in the force, I believe that maybe God meant that for me to be a policewoman, and while in, most of the sensitive cases and assignment I was given, I was so trusted by my commissioner, my boss in the police force. The police force 35, I never had a query. Once in my life, I believe what is worth doing after all is worth doing well and obey before complain. So I was a very dutiful police, And, when we passed out, I got the best notebook amongst recruits, and then we were selected for special branch. The special branch then was very, very a sensitive department. the one they call private eye, and then we went there to be trained. You know, in those days, you have to be very, very patriotic. So they train you about being sabotage, espionage, was spying. At that time, espionage was key because of Soviet Union and all those things, and the Cold War. So we were highly, highly, highly trained, and we were made to feel very important among the police force, and the police force members were looking at us as if we were spying on them, and we were, you know, so it was very nice. We started the NSO SSS,
Okay.
and so by the time they said we should go to NSO, become National Security Organization, we went. And but you know, in the special branch, you know, when you go out on inquiry and they ask you, what are you? You say, I'm a member of the Nigeria Police. They will say, what is it? It was called E Department. Then you say, E Department. They say, what's E Department? Whatever comes to your mind, equation department, education department, equality, whatever. So the cover story was perfect for you to meander in the society and get your information, you know. So, but going to at 15 Awolowo, we got offices, we got things were good, and you know, but we had one or two setbacks. For instance, there was a time I was rough handled by the military at Tafawa Balewa Square, and I told them I was a police officer, and they called the police. I say, she said she's a police officer. They said, well, we don't know, you know, because we had left and we didn't have, you have not settled down yet. So I decided that no, I don't think the cover is blown. I won't be able to work effectively, and I like the uniform. So let me go back and wear my uniform, you know. So that's how we started, and that's how I ended up back again to the uniform section.
Okay. So what was your first close encounter with danger? At what point did the reality of the dangers of your job, what was the first instance where you had a close shave and you might have reconsidered your career choice?
You mean as in the NSO or the police?
With the police, what is when you were fresh out of training school now, when you were at the special branch? Was there any incidents that might have made you reconsider being a police officer?
No, the special branch was so good. There were some white guys. There were people who were like late and the Yusufu, you know, those great Nigerians, good at this game, you know, they were there, and it was really good. You don't lack anything. You go out, you get your information, you're paid. You get information, you're paid. Even when you come back to write your information, your intelligence, even if it is rumors, you will write. They will pay you. You can say that rumor has it that. Just say it is rumor. You know, it was very good and secured. It was when I got back to the police and was sent out that the danger don't on me, that you know, the dangerous job, you know. For instance, especially when I was while in the headquarters, I was selecting officers for peacekeeping operations around the world, and it was so good. I was so happy because when they come back, say, to like Bosnia Herzegovina, Western Sahara, Cambodia, you know, so many places. Once they come back, you see the difference, and they work with confidence, and they were clean, and they bought cars for themselves. So I used it as a ground of training, you know, for them. So we asked for more positions for the police, and that was good and safe. But when I was posted to head the special fraud unit, then it was very, very, it dawned on me, because I'll tell you something. One of my bosses called me actually to his home and took me inside his bedroom and said, look, you're a disciplined woman, you're a good woman. The Inspector General sending you to that place doesn't like you. He wants you to be killed, and that this 419 actually it's meant to collect back monies. What do they call it then? Reparations. And I said, really, sir? He said, yes. And then he said, the government has approved it. I said, seriously? He said, yes. He said, see, so they'll kill you, and then this your face, they'll put acid, they'll do. So I was so afraid. I was apprehensive. So the Inspector General was Alhaji Kumasi. He was so good, and for 1 month I lost kilos. I wasn't doing anything. I was afraid coming to work. So I told my husband. Then he said, "You better go back to the IG." Then I went back, and when the IG saw me, he put down his pen. He said, "Farida, what happened? Do you know why I sent you there? Because you can do it. I have utmost confidence in you that you can do it. Why are you?" And then he said, "Sit down. Do you have more manpower? Do you want money? Do you have vehicles?" So he said, "Just sit down as I write everything." So I couldn't even ask him that I was told the government approved. So he gave me everything I needed. So I went back. I went back to work, and that was when we really got rid of 419 in Nigeria. I'm the one. Nobody can say that I didn't, it was, they were running helter-skelter, leaving the country, and, and the image of Nigeria was so bad out there. And so there was a judge, he was a lady too. So within 2 years, I had 11 convictions without bail, clear convictions without bail, and we did a lot of recoveries from them. And we were able to. I ran into a lady, her name was Farida, also Springerberg, a German lady, and she was president of victims of 419 in Germany. So she came, and then we partnered together. And all is that you have to bring in a witness, because we are losing cases, because the 419ers will tell them, "We know where your families are, we'll kill them, we'll just kill all of them if you dare touch your foot in Nigeria." So what I have to do is just to do an undertaking that I will secure their safety in Nigeria and back. And we work with American embassy too. They'll give us their safe house sometimes. Sometimes we'll put them in hotel for two days. And then the 419 will almost collapse when they say white guy to testify in court. So we had good cases. We had lots of convictions, and that was good. And even Farida, the lady, later on moved to Nigeria and was employed in EFCC as an interpreter. So also that I mentioned the peacekeepers. I told Alhaji Kumasi, let's try women too. He said no. And that, then I appealed to him, and he said, okay, let's try just one woman. I said, let's do two, they can keep each other company. And that same day in Cambodia, a young man knifed another to death. They were fighting over a girlfriend. So he said, you see, that's why, but I prevailed on him, and we agreed to send one, Mimi Abba. She went to Bosnia. I think from there, she didn't come back to Nigeria. She did so well, they appointed her, moved her to New York, and her husband had to join. So that was a very good thing for us, the Nigeria Police Force, at the time.
So that was in 1994 when you were sent to the first CID.
Yes.
You mentioned in your book that you met some very undesirable
Yes.
characters.
Yes.
Can you share one or two?
You know, like the first CID, you know, I was first of all sent as assistant commissioner in charge of administration for CID. Then later on, I was promoted to DC, still admin, you know, and it was a big job because first CID was large, including armed robbery. Adenija Adele. Have you ever been to Adenija Adele?
No.
I pray you won't, you know, because when I even went there, there was just a big ditch hole, and they're there, and they don't even look human anymore. They can't sit, they can't sleep, you know. So when we're investigating and they think they will, they will look down on you, and you just said, Adeniji Adele. I know there was a man who came from outside the country. Interpol wanted him. We had a letter waiting. So he came, very flamboyant man in a Rolls Royce, and then he said he won't talk and all that. And he was so insulting and all that. So I said, okay, my boss left and said you should handle the case. I did. And then he said that he will call CNN and they will dismiss, they will do. He threatened. Then I said, okay. And then when it was 4, 5, 6, I said, are you going to talk or not? He said he didn't have his glasses. And I said, go to your house and bring, I'll send the mobile. He said the mobile were creatures should not be seen with a responsible person like him. That what will his neighbor say this? He said no, he would not. So I said, okay. So when it was 6:30, I asked them to take him to Adeniji. In fact, the next day, it was, yes, ma, please, ma, don't ever take any human being to that place. I said, what happened? He said, look, that as he went there, he sat down. He sat down. He couldn't sit. So he stood there. And then he stood there. When it was 3 a.m., he tried to sit down. They all sat with him. Then 4 a.m. he tried to Sunday that they are not even talking. They don't look at human beings. And then he said he will write his will, and then they will cooperate like that. So we use a lot of, you know, that place to get results, you know. And then also there were some, you know, that there was a man. I traveled. I came back. His son was detained for, according to them, armed robbery. But then he said that the son robbed him. They were doing a business together, and the son wanted to opt out and then pack his share of the goods, and that was that. So he said, I should charge the son for armed robbery. I said, okay. He harassed so much. So one day he came back, and then he said he brought a file, his jewelry, his houses in America, London, everywhere. And he said, if you help me, you can choose any of these things. I said, what do you mean? He said, yes, you can choose any houses. I said, I don't do that. Then I said, how do you want me to help you? Then he said, you know, he learned that the government said prisons are decongested, they should be reduced. I said, well, that's not it's not my business. He said, yes. If you can help me get rid of my son. So I said, are you serious? An exalted lady, a mother, a commissioner of police sitting on this chair, you want me to kill? He said, madam, you are not the one who will do it. Your boss will just take him to forest, ask him to run, and then they will, you know. So, you know, that was, you know, you have lots of people like that. And then I said they should grant bail to the boy, and I asked him to write undertaking. If anything should happen to this boy, we'll skin you alive. You know, we had lots of cases like that, you know. Lots and lots of criminals who want to cut short, you know, who want to use their positions, you know. For instance, when I went to Excord, somebody came to me, a, a businessman. I don't want to mention his name, and said he wanted to give me a car. I said, I don't know you. He brought somebody and ranges of car, Mercedes, the Beast, whatever. I said, I don't know you. I can't take a car from you. Then he said, we gave this big man, we gave this is what we do. I said, but I can't take. So I said no. Then he left. So when I went on special duty to the east, I came back, and my car, staff car, brought me home. I just went to put the key. They stole my car, just like that. And then after 2 weeks, the man came back. He said, I learned they stole your car. Can you now take a car?
Your official car.
Official car. I said, no, I can't take a car. And he was a super criminal. So when I was sent to special fraud unit, the first file that came to my table was that of the man. So I said, you see, this is what, they are so smart. They want to make use of you to put you in trouble. So if I had taken the car, well, So.
Okay, so moving on to 1995, while you were still at the 4CID.
Yes.
In your book, you mention how you came in encounter with coup plotters, in particular, a former president, General Olusegun Obasanjo.
Okay.
I imagine that it must have been a very difficult time because coup in Nigeria is nothing to play with. Can you share what it was like what a regular day at the office was, having an ex-president in your custody for planning a coup?
Yeah, that was the allegation. But I'm not going to talk too much about it because I wrote a book and somebody countered me and called me, one of the person who really made the allegations against Obasanjo, called me from New York that I was trying to favor Obasanjo. I said, no, I don't even know Obasanjo one-on-one. I just wrote what I thought I knew. So he said he's going to write his own book. So I'm told that his book will soon be launched to counter, what I said. But I came to that conclusion because Obasanjo, uh, defended himself very well. I have never seen such a thing in my life. From morning till night, he's talking about himself, defending himself without even looking to any other piece of paper, and asks how the person came to tell him about the coup, because he was in his house in Ota, and you have to book, you get appointment. How did that person get appointment? And you write. And then at that particular time too, he was renovating his house, so was seeing people he was renovating his office and was seeing people in his house. And then he asked, so he defended. I was not the one who were keen, to watch and listen till the end of the night. And it's from what he said that I personally, as a police officer, lawyer, concluded that maybe to give him benefit of the doubt, maybe they just, And I came to also that conclusion because there was a case of Yaradua. The person who said he told him about the coup first said he met him in Hilton. Later on, he said no. He met him in his house at Ikoyi. And we said, if they take you to the house, will you be able to? We took him to the house many, many times. He passed the house. And the house was so small. Then we took him to the house. Where were you sitting? And he said, no, there were many, like 100 people. You don't do coup with 100 people. And that he was standing at the window. I said, you said you had lunch. Now, And then there were so many stories, intriguing stories, that one SSS guy wrote the story for this man and asked him to write about Diaradua. And he wrote what the SS guy wrote to him in a book, and gave him the book that go and tear it, burn it. But he didn't. He put it in the roof of his house. And we got the book. And that there and then, it was so frightful that you're talking with officers, then the next day you hear the chain coming, and you duck. And then it's the person you were talking with that is now chained. They had many people that were involved like that. So that one, they now chained and tried him for false information. But Yaradua was not spared, you know. He still was not spared.
Okay, so we fast forward to 2000, where you retired from the police after 35 years of meritorious service. You had excelled in all your appointments, in all your assignments. How were you able to navigate your way through this mostly male-dominated career and excel at it?
Yeah, it's easy. And I just realized that the men respect you if you know what you're doing. If you come there and begin to show that femininity and all that. Because, for instance, when I was sent to War College, we were 51. I was the only one. And the men were so good, so good. We traveled to China, and they would ask me, choose your room first. We'll go to the hotel, choose your room first. We went to Umuahia. They were so good. And when we were going to Umuahia, for instance, I surprised them. I got cooks to cook, and they would cook throughout the night. Chilled drinks. So when we were going by road, they now said they were hungry, and they stopped at a shoddy place like this. Then I said, no, go and find a place. And then they said, but there's no food there. And they were shocked when I started serving them food and their drinks. So they respected me so much. When they helped me, when I was sent to the War College, I said, I hate war. So. But when I went, it was just more than that. Like when they gave us assignment, they would help me. They gave us assignment about 4 principles of war. And then I went to the library. I got books. I got Ho Chi Minh. I got all sorts of books. And I was searching. So Friday, I searched for elements of war. Saturday, so a colonel just came. I said, I've not done my assignment. He said, elements. He brought a little booklet. So, and then he brought a film. I'm sure you watch Harbor,
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
That is element of surprise. Example. You see how they made mincemeat of the Americans because they went to sleep, and so I chose element of surprise and wrote my book, my thesis very, 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 very well. And the respect when we passed out, when they called my name, the wives wanted to carry me. They were clapping. My boss, Kumasi, said, what happened? What is the meaning of that? I said, sir, you won't understand. you know. So that's how it is. And the military, they are so trained. They are so, they know so much, especially current affairs. They're very helpful. So I then realized that, when you are working with men, you have to be one step ahead. Otherwise, they'll just look down on you. So it was so good. They go to pick food, they want to pick my food for me, or they push me into the front. And then when we went to China, some of them will come, and I didn't even shop. They said, my wife, can you go pick something for my wife? Can you go? They were so good. And then we went to Mozambique, that is Africa. Then one friend of mine just called me to his room, and then I said, what? Then he opened his box and brought out Gary and shower. I said, what is that? He said, you have to save your dollars.
So moving forward, in 2008 was when you gained national prominence, at least to the general public. That was when President Umar Musa Yar'Adua handpicked you to spearhead the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Now, with the benefit of hindsight from what you had experienced at the Special Fraud Unit, when you were being offered that job, what was going through your mind at the time? Did you know the kind of challenges you were up against?
I had an inkling. I had a faint idea because the Special Fraud Unit was deadly. And but being through there, I knew I can do this. Because when Yaradua asked me, can you do, I think I said, I can do this. And he said, they will go after you. They will. I said, yes. I said, I don't want to write some of the experience there, but threat to life and all that. I told you at number 3 Lugard, they threw things, bombs or things at my roof. I wrote it there, and my husband was downstairs. I was praying. Then the truth, and then the roof came, and debris fell on me, and I knew it was a shot. So I didn't stand up at all. Whether more shot would come, I crawled down. Then I came, he too want to go. So we came out. We alerted the police. They were there. They said they too had. We called the CID. They look at it. They investigated, but nothing happened. The same house, one day, they came in and took everything from the house. Television, chairs, just everything. And the house was left bare. And then in the morning, my daughter, she came from London. She came to my room also, and I had full sense of security because Shonakan was my neighbor. He had big Rottweilers. And then across was Chief Justice of Lagos State, and there was other labor. So I thought, and then on the left hand side was the military guest room with soldiers. So I used to even leave my door. So they put a note, if we wanted to get you, we would have gotten you. So they removed everything. We investigated, and. Nothing happened. So and text messages, threat. I can't even sleep. Some they will just call, whispering some eerie things, And when you're a police officer, you can't put your phone off the hook and go to sleep because maybe there's an emergency, something, and then they are trying to reach you. So I will bear it, then I put it back. Then they start all over. There were so many other things, that life-threatening and other things I didn't even want to put in that book. I wanted to leave it, put it behind me, So when Yaradua asked that, can you do it? Actually, they wanted to enlarge the board of EFCC when I came back, and the Attorney General, they asked me for my CV. So I gave. But most of the young people I worked with in that special fraud unit were picked for EFCC. So I said, that is good. The police said she had those, her boys but then when they picked them and they were doing well, I was happy. So Yaradua, he said, he sent for me and my husband, and then I said I didn't have an idea of EFCC chair at all. I thought they said they want to enlarge the board, a board member. So by the time the Attorney General came to my house, sweating that the Yaradua has surprised everybody, I think there were 10 CVs, and he picked mine and read it. He said, this woman, who is she? You want to work with her? Honestly. So he sent for me and my husband, to talk. I should talk to him about myself, and I did. I felt so humbled and honored. I kept talking, and my husband was winking that the talk is enough. And I look at the president, he was smiling, so I continued talking. So that was the first time. Second time, he sent for us again. Third time, he said he wanted to offer me the job. He was such a wonderful person. Yaradua was one of the best. He was so committed to project Nigeria. He will give me his assignment. He will get intelligence and call me and give me. And if I take to him, he will read. If he's not even feeling well, the boys will say, "We'll give you 5 minutes." If I go in and he's not feeling well, I'll say, "I forgot the report." Then he will say, but if I give him, he will read through and we'll discuss. And if he sees somebody stole so much money, he will take it personal. He will say, "Farida, what would they would do with all this money?" And there was a list that came. People stole money, and then he saw somebody's name, and then he put down his paper and said, "I don't know why this particular person is doing this to me." He took it personal. He was a great, great man.
Okay, so with your appointment as the executive chairman of the EFCC, in your book, you go ahead to explain how you were bombarded with a barrage of media propaganda and threat to life and so many other challenges you faced.
Yeah.
What would you say? I mean, yeah, it's self-explanatory in the book, but if you could say this, what would you say was the most difficult? What was the biggest challenge in your office as the EFCC chairman?
The biggest challenge was the interference. It was too much. But the first most biggest challenge was, the stereotype. When they knew a woman was coming, there are lots of them that they don't want to work with a woman whatsoever. So, and then when the woman was me, the antenna was raised because my antecedent is known. I don't suffer fools blindly, and I will do my job, and I'm not a coward, and I have the experience and the capacity to do it and the training. So they went all out to stop me from getting the confirmation. So that was the hardest time in my life. They cooked stories. They wrote so many things. It was shocking to me. That is why I came out to say there must be another Farida. Was it? It can't be me. The things they were writing. But they investigated me so well. When my father died, I was in Lagos expecting a baby. And when we went home, my brothers had not shown. So I was the only one. So the village heads came and took the body by force. But my father had said, "Bury me in Boko." My children were born there. I buried some in Boko, but they refused. So we didn't even go to the village where he was buried. It was during the EFCC that I saw my father's grave for the first time. They went to the village, Thief community village, and you know, they investigated everything about me. And then people, the corrupt, I would say it's the corrupt, went all out to cook stories about me. And then they said, okay, I'm a woman. They will make it impossible for me. They gave me 3 months. I would chicken out. So they started writing. Every day as I'm going to work, I'll stop at the station. That's a magazine about me, Anointed by Crooks. That was the first publication, Anointed by Crooks. There were so many write-up here and internationally. When they knew I did 1 year, I did 2 years, I clapped for myself that, wow, so I can do this. So they went international. They went. And there was this Sahara reporters show. I saw him say he wanted to be president of Nigeria. Those were some of the people they were using. And for instance, the house I entered, number 10, it was there that I acquired it by criminality. Then they got a car and said somebody, they put the car on. And then even that car, later on, one governor said that car and the chassis number belonged to his fleet of cars. And he came and said, should he made pronouncement? I said, yes. He wrote one line and it was stuck in the newspaper, you see. So they did so much damage. They did a lot. It's gradually, to demonize me. Gradually, people are beginning to know that this woman is an innocent person. She's not as bad as this. And there was one mad looting, and that I was stealing everything from years. I didn't sell any asset. I didn't do auction. I didn't do anything. I was so It got to a stage where some friends of mine, some American, and said, "Look, they're trying to, rubbish you over there." And so the story was that they trained some detectives, and I pushed them out, and I brought some mediocres to be stealing money for me. But I did it. It was the mobile policemen who were for guard duties, that they were there since inception. They didn't go to training at Goza to be fit, so I sent them and brought new ones. But they told the Americans that they use their dollar, and that this Farida is. So the ambassador now said I should come over quietly and address Council of Foreign Relations. So I did. I went, and the ambassador was with me throughout the day, because I wrote a speech that was so much. He said, "No, these people are rich and elderly. If you go talking, some of them will sleep or they walk out." So we sat down, pruned down everything. It was successful. So I went and I did. Then the next day, I went to another forum, and then the Shore himself with others carried placard himself. Farida Ole Yaradol. I was shocked. I've never met him in my life. So when they pay you, you must destroy somebody's reputation for peanuts or what, So, and then we were still talking when the lady said, "We have visitors." And then she said, "We have almost finished." Then they brought the car at the back of the building. Do you know when the car was to go out, he stopped. He had a placard, very stiff carton, like that he was writing on. He opened, he wanted to. If he had touched my face, I would have had a sharp cut. Was trying to, for nothing. You know, so they did so many things. They did, so many things. For the writings, oh my God. And some other people that didn't want me to go there. Once I reached there, I saw their hand. I saw why they didn't want me. There was somebody who wanted. I had a case, and the person called me that they wanted to help me with that case. It's a lawyer to do it pro bono. I said okay. I was happy because he's one of those who didn't want me to go there at all. So I said, "Come and take the brief." He did. The government canceled that case. The case won't go on. But he wrote to me wanting 50 million. And I said, "No, so many, so many, so many things, because the country, the people, the corruption is too much. Corruption has taken us where we are today. People are too corrupt. People who adore money, sleep with money, wake up with money, nothing else matter. It's money, it's position forever. That is how we are, where. So they will just kill you if you want to, stand on their way. Like I'm saying, people will take Nigeria's money, go to UK, US, buy property. Go to UK, buy property. Go to UAE, buy property. Go to South Africa, buy property. Lock it and come back and be working with a swagger that they have invested well. Their grandchildren even won't suffer. This is the situation that we have. That is property. Then the safe havens, the money. Those safe havens, they have, the common thing they have is they're surrounded with water. They can't farm, no factory, no industries, no nothing. So all they do is farming. So those places like Seychelles, Cayman Island, Bermuda, Isle of Man, Virgin Island, Guernsey, Liechtenstein, that is our people and other corrupt people around the world. That's how those people, and when you put your money there, then they give you a code known only to you. Do you know tomorrow, when they go, I had a case where somebody went to one of those safe havens and put in some money. She knew there was money there, but when the man died, she didn't know the code. She said there's money. Everybody said, where is the money? So these are the things that Nigerians are doing, that Nigeria is going more and more backward. I used to think that I called them haters of Nigeria. I say, you hate your country. If Nigeria was human, they would have cut Nigeria to pieces, bleed to death. Because how can you do this? Your neighbors can't drink water, they can't eat. And you go and put money in those places where if you die, those people inherit such monies, and they don't want the truth. And that is what continue, like the four refineries, empty, they're not functional. But they put money for turnaround maintenance and they'll pocket it. And we're the seventh oil producing in the world. And here we are. So what is the problem is, I don't even know. Maybe only God one day will also strip down on Nigeria and say this country has suffered so much. When Gawan turned 90, Adeshina, it's a clever young man, he came to talk. And what he talked, and with analysis he had, how Nigeria should have been and why Nigeria is not where it is. And when I was going home, I was thinking, he said Nigeria by now should be developed country, not developing. With all that we have, we are still developing. And then I was just thinking, yes, Nigeria should be a developed country. And then when I reached my house, I saw CNN. There was wildfire in California. This rainy season, wildfire burning the whole of California with a little boat, something that was pouring from the sky. And I even thought that. And then the next station was, is it Florida? That there was also flooding. And then I said, look at Nigeria. We don't even have these disasters. So if Nigeria is to burn, Nigeria will burn to pieces, ashes. So, because everybody is, those firefighters, you can hear their noise. So, we. And that's the end of slave trade. When they get there, they ask you, where is your tap? And then that's all, So that's why I don't want to talk, because you feel so sad and so unhappy when you see a greatest nation like Nigeria, drifting down the hill.
I mean, in spite of the all the obstacles you had, you managed to achieve quite a lot. You recovered over $9 billion.
Yes.
You're able to secure the property at the permanent site for the EFCC, and so many other wonderful things. One thing I liked.
That is what you thought. The enemies thought I did nothing. The enemies thought I did nothing. You see, I'm talking to you as a son. Otherwise, I won't go and talk. Of course, I talk to Chamberlain and Co. They are good, responsible. Jimo Ibrahim, the channel, this. Otherwise, and I won't pay anybody to go and talk on my behalf. I won't do that. You see them on the TV, their eyes shifty like thieves, and they are talking what is not true. No, they thought, to them, I didn't do anything. And I was the one, the academy in Cairo. I just got a white guy. Ramon is a Spaniard, married to a Nigerian. He used to build when I was in Aso Garden. So I take a walk, and one day I stopped him. He said, come here and look. So I got his card. I gave him a card. He went to Cairo. He did executive classrooms, executive dormitories, and many, many other, things that he did to make. I used to bring in FBI. When they come, they will eat mama, and they loved it here. They loved it here. So when I used to travel, I went to Interpol a lot. Interpol in Lyon, it was also very good. And then when you get to Interpol, you can even eat your food, the few amount, and you can do a doggy bag, take home. So then when I went to Met Police, my friends who retired from Met Police are still there, and New Scotland Yard. I was surprised. They took me around everywhere. They have everything. Once you enter there to work, you don't have to. If it's clinic, you go. If you want to go shooting range, it's there. If it's exercise, it's there. Whatever. And then when they took me around, the food is like 5-star hotel. Then the thing was in my mind. And then when I came there, I didn't even talk about it. Then I went to the minister. Minister now is the governor of Bauchi. He's a good man. So he now, I said, I explained to him. He didn't hesitate. He gave me 7.5 hectares in that. Yes, so I made photocopy. So I went, I now told Mr. President, sir, let's do history. What? He said, well, let's build like. Then he said, we don't have land. I gave him the photocopy. He said, Farida, we don't have money. I said, sir, money will come. I cajoled him. I continue. By the time he approved, I said, sir, only JB, Julius Berger, will build it. Some of them petitioned that I was eating money with Julius Berger. But that man left. They did, Mr. Wood. He told me that, Farida, this is the first time in my life I worked in Nigeria. Nobody has asked me a court for A, court for B, court for. Honestly, So that is, But people who don't like you, if you like cut your hand and write with blood, they will still find fault. I see them on the TV, or some of them, they paid them to come and they said she didn't do anything. The record is there.
Exactly.
The record
I was
is
going
there.
to say,
Yes.
there's a saying that a lie spreads fast, but the truth goes further.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 13 years since your retirement from public service.
Yes.
And nobody has been able to say Mrs. Farida stole this, or
Exactly.
did this, or did this. So
Exactly.
I think time and posterity will
judge.
will judge.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
So bringing it back to today, I mean, it's been 13 years since you retired from public service, but corruption has not yet abated. As a matter of fact, I think it has metastasized since you left. So I'll ask, it's a two-part question. Can we really fight corruption? And if we can, how do we do that? So when you answer, then I'll ask the next question.
Okay, Teve, thank you very much. I think you should join EFCC. You have an insight. I believe that we cannot eradicate corruption in Nigeria with the setup. We can minimize it, but the attitude of Nigerians towards money and other cumulative, I say, the last time that I said, they should be examining them. They should take them to see whether they need a head shrink, whether their heads are correct. Because you're stealing things you don't need. Like I told you, people locking up properties and go buy more. I went to South Africa, in Pretoria. The whole street is like 20, kilos away. The properties are humongous. Big properties left by South African farmers. You need to see them. And they are all owned by Nigerians. All owned. And I asked, do they come and stay? The man said no. When they come, they stay in 5-star hotels. But they are there. They can't even heat it. They can't clean it. They look like cathedral to me. that I said, if you give me 1 billion, I won't be able to sleep quietly in this. It's massive. They have their own plant, orchards, where they grow their food, they have everything, you know. And so this kind of stealing has no sense to me. That's why I say, if you want to give somebody, we call them PEPs, politically exposed persons. It is not the woman in the marketplace selling gari, the driver, mechanic, the cook, steward, the gardener that is stealing Nigeria's money. It is the PEPs, politically exposed persons. And you know that politically exposed persons, fake financial action task force created it to safeguard corruption, because those people are people that with one stroke of the pen they can see billions in a day. Those are the politically exposed persons that, you know. So I feel that to even take them to jail and say it won't work. I think that if we should study the country Singapore, is the best, is the cleanest country in the world, followed by some other African, other countries like Scandinavian countries are clean. That come down here, people are even scared to come and do business here, because you don't know who is who and what he wants or what, you know. So I feel we should do what that president did. Before then, Singapore was corrupt, that he came and did everything. And Singapore is a leading light now. Like you go there, you will see a museum, Singapore, corruption museum. There was a time the corruption was so much that they were building skyscrapers. They built skyscrapers with sand, the whole town. The president pulled them all down. And the sand they used formed part of the museum. Now you have to do your foundation with particular products and approve before you do anything. You know, it's one of the cleanest, you know. So what they did, you know, like Singapore is, you know, and so the welfare situations, you know, let somebody who is in employment feel that when he leaves, that's the end of it. Because it's also Nigeria. When you are there, like I'm in the office, you see like Christmas, you see many hampers, you see cards, and we call them, people who don't know will say, oh, I have many friends. They are not your friends. We call them friends of the office. When you leave, when you even greet him, he won't even answer. I met one man at the airport, one big man. He hugged me and said, I like what you're doing. You are so focused. We pray for you. This is it. So one day, after some 2-3 months, I met the same with my crew. We were going. I smiled towards him. He just turned and looked and walked away. And I asked the boss, I said, is it not this man? He said, Mommy, that other person you charged to court was his brother. So I stopped being focused because, you know. So that is how, you know, that's how it is. And they have to work for stealing the money to block it. Then don't be sacking people anyhow. When you have 35 years, you know, 35 years ago, you're counting the days. When you go, it's this kind of thing that make people, you know. And now, you know, politics is the big business. Big business. A man will sell all his houses to become a governor or senator. Of course, he will steal to put back what is. And then a governor is there for 8 years. For 4 years, he tried to leave a little legacy. Remaining 4, he's stealing the money because he has another election coming. He wants to go to Senate. He goes to the Senate, he wants the best committee. Aluta continue. Stealing continue. So it's so sickening, you know, what goes on around here. And so I was, you know, Yaradua felt that we should let Nigerians know the effect of corruption. whether you're rich or poor, it will affect you negatively. After all, what is image? Image is perception.
Exactly.
If you perceive me as bad, you want to keep me at arm's length. And if it's a country, developing country, you perceive that country as criminal, draw all this. Then what will you that country benefit that, you know? So these are some of the things. So that was why we did anti-corruption revolution gradually. Let the Nigerians themselves know that corruption will not pay and run away from it. Chastise their family, their children, their other. But if you say you take them to prison, they may not even stay in that prison. They will not. There was some we took to jail. They stay in hospital until they. Some go home. They go to their homes by 5 and bring them back. Corruption endemic in every aspect of Nigeria's life.
Okay, so I wanted to get your perspective on one of the most pressing issues in Nigeria today. The government of the day removed fuel subsidy May 29th. Sorry. And the effect has been cut
Deadly.
across board, yes. Given your experience and what is your take on the removal of subsidy? Is this something you support? Is this something that Nigeria should do at this time?
Yes, it's something I support. Others don't know what the subsidy is all about. They just hear subsidy, subsidy. But I know one or two things. In my position, I ought to know. It's a cabal of corrupt, not all of them, but corrupt people, very powerful people. If Tinubu did not hit the ground running, he wouldn't have been able to do it. They are powerful. Look, even right now, the diesel taken out to be refined, do you know what quantity is within the stamp sign? It goes, refined, comes. You don't know what is back. Do you know that even in some farm tanks, oil tanks, when they pour, there are holes. It's going 20 miles under, taken away. It's such a bad situation. I was happy for the president when he did it. Those who are criticizing didn't know the meaning, but the aftermath is very bad. It's cruel. But the president did it. He has, like Minister of Transport, just put buses, park and ride. They go to UK. If I go to London, I buy Ulster card for £5 and I go on in the bus, I go in the train for £5 for 1 month. Why can't they do the same thing here? And the money given to the governors, the president should also say the governors too should put transportation. Transportation is what you need, and food, Exactly. So it's not the subsidy. It is the aftermath which can be tackled. It's not out of, as I said, buses. When I went to EFCC, I closed from Formala Street. Then I saw lots of people on the road. I was passing. Then I thought there was a riot or something. I said, reverse back. They reversed back. I said, who are those people? They said, Mommy, they are your staff. I said, come on, my staff. They said, they are EFCC. Then I asked, they are waiting for public transport to go, So I went back. The next day, I went to the president and I asked for money. That's how I bought the buses. The buses are still there. Gwagwalada, Gwarimpa, Nyanya, all the outskirts. We put good buses. And they have never forgotten me about those buses. They called me Madam Alert. Then I saw one man, and then he is wearing slippers. And then I said, you can't come. So I introduced uniform. Legal department, money for their legal. Civilians too are entitled to. So everybody should come in suit. That was a hilarious day for me. I don't know where some got their suits. Like drivers, they were very happy. I said suit and slippers won't go. So they bought their shoes and they were in 3 piece. Some bought from bend down too, but they look nice. And I'm paying them. and paying them a lot. And I also introduced, there was a sergeant who went on a special to give evidence somewhere. He was coming back. Evidence overwhelming. They stayed around the bush fire that he said they killed him. Then during the bombing here at this thing, one of the officers also died. So I introduced insurance. You know, somebody's killed during the job. So we issue money immediately. I also introduced their housing. I did. These are some of the things. When you think that you're in a rented quarters and you clock 26 years, so when you retire, what will you do? So I encourage them, you go and, so these are the things that will be introduced us in the civil service too,
I have to say your career has been full of trailblazing. You've really opened the doors for a lot of females. I think in general, I won't even want to restrict it to just females. I think you should be placed right there in the pantheons of great Nigerians, just along with everybody else. And you should be very proud of yourself for the things you've done from your time in the police training college when you graduated as the best graduating police officer, to your time in the police, to your time in the EFCC. I think you should be very proud of yourself because you've done your family proud and you've done the country very proud.
Thank you.
On the final note.
Thank you so much. I am proud of myself. You can see for yourself that, I don't, because I don't have skeletons. You understand? Yes. It's when you have skeletons overflowing that, they could check where I live now. My husband, plot 2000 was me and my husband. He was also a great man, Senator Adamu Ajiji Waziri. He was chairman of Ashaka Cement. And that time we were going to London, the company was Blue Circles of England. With and we go, and they send him with Rolls Royce, we'll go. Yes, and he won the award for the Blue Circle in is it Liberia or something? He went and collected the award. And after that, he came, and he's a lawyer too. He was, had his chambers in 36A Tafawa Balewa Square. He was doing well. Then he moved his, This is my own law firm. In the next office there, his books are there. That's, and then we ended up also going to Turkey as the ambassador. And all this, it was good for me. And, I am not, scared because I did not do anything that, So I'm proud of myself. I hold myself high, my head high, chin up. And all those people who want, what did she do? She didn't do, it's like cutting your nose to stop your face. Exactly. Because they can check. The records are there.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's why we're here, to give honor to whom honor is due.
Yes.
Yeah, so on a final note, with the benefit of hindsight and experience, if by chance you could go back in time, what message would you have for a 16-year-old Mzambi growing up in Boko, or any other young 15, 16-year-old girl for that matter, that might have big dreams ahead of them? What kind of advice would you have for them?
I think perseverance. What will be, will be. What you want to achieve, hard work does not kill. So, as I told the story of, I was dying to be a lawyer, but I didn't. But in the end, I did. And it became an obsession for me to read. When I even retired, I took my money and paid Stanford University. I couldn't go to Harvard, but Stanford had lecturers from Harvard, California, and I went back to that university. And I came back. I was still restless. I took my money. I went to London Business School. And all the time we're going to Cambridge. They had Jesus College. They had seminars. I remember Professor Farida, Georges, we all go. When the university is on research, And then when we go, some people even stay in the university campus. They stay there. Some of us who feel like you prefer to stay in the hotel, stay in the hotel. You know, so what you want to do, you can do it. You can achieve it. It's just hard work and determination. Yes.
I wish we could spend more time here
Yes.
just listening to your stories, but of course, all good things come to an end.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank you very much for your time again. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So on that note, the book is called One Step Ahead. If you haven't already gotten it, I'll leave a link in the description below. Go ahead and read it, and we'll see you in the next video.